Never lose your cool again. Right now, you're about to learn what most people never understand. Life will push you. Life will test you. People will provoke you. And most of the world will lose control. Most of the world will snap, explode, regret, and apologize. Again and again. But not you. Today, you will learn the exact mental strategies, the repeated habits, the unstoppable methods to remain calm, steady, and unshakable, no matter what happens. By the end of this audiobook, you will never react the same way again. You will be in control, and everything else will simply fall in line. Chapter 1. Stop reacting, start choosing. You've spent most of your life reacting. You've reacted to people, to stress, to words, to insults, to circumstances you couldn't control. You've let the outside world dictate the inside world. And every time you reacted, you gave away your power. It happens fast. Someone says something disrespectful. Someone cuts you off. You get criticized. You feel the spark, that instant rush that demands you defend yourself. But in that split second, you forget something crucial. You have a choice. That's where control begins. In the split second before you react, that's where power lives. In the pause, not in the shouting, not in the anger, not in the emotional outburst. Power is calm. Power is chosen. Power is silent. You think you're just being honest or standing your ground. But often, you're just reacting. And reaction is weakness disguised as strength. Real control doesn't scream. It doesn't explode. It doesn't need to. Because real control is internal. You want to be unshakable. Then you must stop reacting and start choosing. Every time you react, you train your brain to surrender control. You teach your emotions to lead and your logic to follow. That's how people destroy careers, end relationships, and lose respect. Not because of what happened, but because of how they responded. One bad reaction can undo years of discipline. One impulsive message, one emotional decision, one angry outburst. That's all it takes. Think about it. How many times in your life have you said, "I shouldn't have said that," or "I wish I handled that differently"? That regret is the price of reaction. And it's a price you can stop paying. Today. You must learn to pause. That's the key. The pause is not weakness. The pause is control. When you pause, you regain your authority. You separate stimulus from response. You shift from autopilot to awareness. In that pause, you take back your power. Here's the truth. The calm person in the room always has the upper hand. The person who doesn't react immediately. That's the one who controls the tempo. Because everyone else is predictable. Everyone else is emotional. Everyone else is reacting. You're not everyone else. You are the chooser. You do not react. You choose. Say it out loud. I am the chooser. I do not react. I choose. Say it again until it sinks in. This is not a motivational slogan. It's a weapon, a mental shield against chaos. Because the world will test you. People will push you. Situations will provoke you. And they'll expect you to lose control. They'll expect you to react. Don't. When they shout, stay calm. When they insult, stay silent. When they try to provoke, stay still. Because silence is not surrender. It's strategy. It's intelligence. It's the highest form of emotional control. Let's talk real examples. A manager loses his temper during a meeting, slamming the table, yelling at his team. The next day, half the department stops trusting him. His leadership collapses. Not because of one mistake, but because of one reaction. A young athlete punches a referee after a bad call. Career over, reputation destroyed. One reaction, a husband or wife says something cruel in anger. And those words echo for years. One reaction, you see the pattern. Every reaction costs you. Every outburst drains your respect, your focus, your composure. You can't buy back those moments. But you can prevent the next one. How? By recognizing that calm is a decision, not a mood. By realizing that anger is easy, but control is mastery. By training yourself to pause before the storm. Here's how it works. The next time something irritates you, breathe. Inhale deeply. Count to 4. Hold it. Exhale slowly. Don't say a word. Don't act yet. Let the first wave pass. Because that first wave, that heat in your chest, that tension in your jaw, that's not your truth. That's your ego. That's your conditioning. That's your impulse. If you speak or act in that moment, you're not in control. Your emotion is. But if you pause, you win. Every single time. This is how soldiers train. This is how elite athletes train. This is how leaders win. The ability to pause, observe, and choose. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals, between reactors and masters. You think control is boring? Number. Control is dangerous. Control is power contained. Control is energy focused. When you can hold back what others can't, you gain authority they'll never touch. You don't need their permission to be calm. You don't need their validation to stay composed. You don't even need to explain yourself. Because your power is not in proving. It's in choosing. When you stop reacting, you stop playing their game. When you stop reacting, you stop losing energy to every little insult. When you stop reacting, you become unpredictable. And that terrifies weak people. You think they win by shouting louder? Number. They lose control faster. The calm one always wins. Always. Here's what you do starting today. pause before you respond. Every time, even for 3 seconds. That pause will save you more than words ever will. Observe your triggers. What irritates you most? Write it down. Study it. Awareness kills reaction. Decide your identity. Are you a reactor or a chooser? Repeat your mantra until your mind accepts it. Say it again. I am the chooser. I do not react. I choose. Every morning, repeat it. Every night, remind yourself. Drill it until your instinct changes. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent. It's about directing emotion instead of drowning in it. It's about mastering yourself, not controlling others. Because when you master yourself, you automatically influence everything around you. Remember this: reaction is reflex. Choice is power. Reaction is noise. Choice is signal. Reaction is weakness. Choice is mastery. You always have that moment, that breath, that tiny space between trigger and action. That's your kingdom. That's where your freedom lives. Guard it with your life. From this point forward, you live in that space. You pause. You observe. You choose. That's emotional control. That's mental toughness. That's quiet discipline. You are no longer the person who reacts. You are the person who decides. You are the calm in every storm. Because calm is not a personality. Calm is a practice. And practice becomes identity. You've started that identity right now. You've taken back your power. You've taken back your choice. And with that, you've taken back your life. You mastered the art of pausing. You learned the foundation of self-control. Now, let's go deeper. Because control isn't just about emotion. It's about identity. It's time to separate who you are from what you feel. Chapter 2. Your emotions are not you. You feel it every day. Anger, fear, doubt, frustration. And every time it hits, it feels personal. It feels like it's you. But it's not. Your emotions are not you. They're signals. They're messages. They're data. Emotion is information, not command. And if you don't learn to separate the two, you'll spend your life being dragged around by every feeling that shows up. You are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. You are not your disappointment. You are the one who feels those things, not the one who is those things. That's the key. Most people never learn this. They think feeling something means they must do something. They feel disrespected, so they lash out. They feel afraid, so they run. They feel uncertain, so they quit. But emotions aren't orders. They're notifications. They're alerts on your mental dashboard saying, "Hey, something needs attention." That's all. You don't have to obey them. You just have to understand them. When you get angry, it's not the world attacking you. It's your body signaling. Something feels off. When you get anxious, it's not proof you're weak. It's your system saying, prepare, be alert. When you feel jealous, it's not that you're broken. It's that your focus drifted from you to them. You have a choice. You can obey your emotions, or you can observe them. One path leads to chaos. The other leads to mastery. Let me tell you a story. A CEO once faced a hostile takeover. His company was under siege. Investors were panicking. Employees were whispering. The media was circling like vultures. Every meeting was chaos. Every call was pressure. His team was crumbling under fear. But not him. He sat quietly, listening. No shouting, no panic, no emotional outburst, just focus, just clarity. Someone asked him later, "How did you stay calm when everyone around you was losing control?" He said one sentence that defines this entire chapter. "I felt everything. Fear, anger, stress. But I refused to become any of it." That's mastery. That's emotional separation. That's what makes leaders, winners, and thinkers rise when others break. You have emotions for a reason. They exist to help you understand your environment, not to rule your decisions. Think about it like this. When a fire alarm goes off, it's there to alert you. It's not there to make you burn down your own house. Emotions are the same. They signal something, but you decide what to do with that signal. That's the power most people throw away. You don't need to suppress emotion. You need to interpret it. You don't need to numb yourself. You need to notice yourself. That's awareness. That's control. When you can look at your feelings and say, "I feel anger, but I don't have to act angry," you're free. That's the moment you reclaim yourself. Let's break it down. There are 3 steps to emotional mastery. Feel, observe, act consciously. Step 1. Feel. You're human. You'll feel emotions, anger, sadness, fear, excitement. Don't deny them. Feel them fully. But know, feelings are temporary. They rise, they peak, they fade. They are waves. You are the ocean. Step 2. Observe. This is where separation begins. Instead of being in the emotion, step back from it. Watch it. Name it. "I feel anger right now." That sentence alone shifts you from reaction to reflection. Observation creates space. And in that space, power returns. Step 3. Act consciously. Don't react impulsively. Act intentionally. Ask, what response aligns with who I want to be? That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Emotional amateurs react. Emotional professionals respond. Say it now. I feel. I observe. I act consciously. Again. I feel. I observe. I act consciously. That's the formula. That's the key. You don't need their permission to feel. You don't need to justify why something bothered you, but you also don't need to let it control you. Because emotions are visitors. They come. They go. You decide who stays. Most people build homes for their emotions. They feed them. They decorate them. They live in them. You learn to acknowledge, not adopt. Feel it. Thank it. Let it pass. When you can do that, you become untouchable. You can walk through chaos and stay centered. You can lead when others panic. You can think clearly when others drown in drama. Let's apply this to your life right now. Someone insults you. What do? Pause. Feel the sting. Observe it. Say to yourself, that's anger. It's a signal, not a command. Then choose your response. You got rejected. You feel hurt. You feel disappointed. Don't drown in it. Watch it. Learn from it. Ask yourself, what is this emotion teaching me? Maybe it's teaching resilience. Maybe it's teaching patience. That's growth. You're anxious about the future. Don't call it fear. Call it fuel. That's your system saying, prepare. That's information, not paralysis. You have a choice. Always. You can live as the servant of emotion or as the master of awareness. It's not about avoiding emotion. It's about disciplining emotion. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear. It's not about controlling everything. It's about controlling yourself. You can feel deeply and still stay steady. You can experience emotion without being consumed by it. That's maturity. That's evolution. Because once you know how to separate what you feel from who you are, nothing can shake you. People can provoke you. Life can test you. Stress can knock on your door. But you'll stay anchored. Because you'll know the truth. Your emotions are not you. They are tools. You are the craftsman. They are weather. You are the sky. Remember the CEO. Everyone around him panicked. He didn't. Because he felt everything but chose to act consciously. He used his emotions for awareness, not reaction. And because of that, he made better decisions, calm, precise, strategic. That's the level you're aiming for. That's emotional intelligence at work. That's leadership. You have that same potential. But it starts with one mantra, one mindset. I feel. I observe. I act consciously. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you're under stress. Say it when emotion floods your body. Let it rewire your response system until calm becomes instinct. Because when you can separate emotion from identity, you become indestructible. You no longer drown in your feelings. You use them as information. And when information guides you, clarity follows. You've learned to separate emotion from self. You've learned that feelings don't define you. They inform you. You've learned that awareness beats reaction every single time. Now that you understand the power of emotional distance, it's time to build the tool that sustains it. The practice that resets your body and brain in real time. You're about to learn how to master calm on command. Chapter 3. The quiet power of deliberate breathing. You want to control your emotions? You want to stop losing your cool? Then start with the one thing you've been doing since the day you were born. Breathing. Most people think control starts in the mind. They think discipline is mental. But the truth is, control starts in the body. And your breath is the control panel. When you master your breath, you master your mind. When you master your mind, you master your reactions. And when you master your reactions, you master your life. That's the chain. That's the formula. That's the key. Right now, when something stressful happens, someone insults you, traffic slows down, your boss criticizes your work, your body reacts before your brain even has time to think. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing shortens, your muscles tense, and then your mind follows your body into chaos. But here's the shift. You can reverse that. You can flip the system. When you slow the breath, you slow the mind. When you take control of your breath, your emotions lose their grip. That's power. Quiet power. Think about the Navy SEAL in a combat zone. Bullets flying, chaos everywhere. But his face is calm. He's breathing slow, deep, controlled. Why? Because he knows that oxygen is focus. He knows that breath is command. He doesn't let the situation dictate his state. He dictates his state with his breath. Or the elite athlete standing at the free throw line with seconds left in the game. The crowd is screaming. The pressure is enormous. But he's not thinking about the noise. He's thinking about rhythm. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. That's it. That's mastery in motion. And the monk sitting in silence for hours? Same principle. The body wants to move. The mind wants to wander. But he returns to the breath again and again. Because breath is awareness. Breath is control. Breath is the anchor to peace. You can do this too. You don't need a monastery. You don't need special gear. You just need to decide, I am in control of my breath. Therefore, I am in control of myself. Here's the technique that will change your life. It's simple. It's ancient. It's proven. Inhale 4. Hold 4. Exhale 6. That's it. Do it now. Inhale through your nose. 4 seconds. Hold. 4 seconds. Exhale through your mouth. 6 seconds. Feel it. That's calm. That's command. That's you taking back the driver's seat. Say it with me. Inhale 4. Hold 4. Exhale 6. Calm is instant. Calm is mine. Again. Inhale 4. Hold 4. Exhale 6. Calm is instant. Calm is mine. It's not about perfection. It's about pattern. Your body learns patterns. You teach it calm through repetition. You train it like a soldier trains for battle. Every time you breathe deliberately, you are rewiring your nervous system. You are teaching it that you are safe. You are teaching it that you decide when to panic and when to be still. That's emotional dominance. That's leadership of self. The next time your phone buzzes with bad news, stop. Before you reply, before you react, before you spiral, breathe. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. And in that one cycle, you have already won. You've already proven that your emotions work for you, not against you. The next time someone shouts at you, don't shout back. Don't match their energy. Control yours. Because your breath is your weapon. Your calm is your shield. You are not here to fight emotion with emotion. You are here to rule emotion with intention. That's the difference between amateurs and masters. Amateurs react. Masters regulate. And regulation begins with breath. You don't need to meditate for hours. You don't need to disappear into a retreat. You can start while driving, while walking, while waiting in line. The world doesn't have to get quiet for you to find stillness. You bring stillness into the noise. That's the secret the world's most composed people know. They breathe differently. They use their breath like a tool. They know calm isn't something you wait for. Calm is something you create. You see, when you breathe deliberately, something deeper happens. Your body tells your brain, "We're okay." Your brain stops flooding your system with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart slows. Your vision clears. Your focus sharpens. You're back in command. And once you learn to access this on demand, you become untouchable. You stop being dragged by circumstance. You stop being yanked by emotion. You live from a centered place, a grounded place. You stop needing the world to calm down. Because you have learned to calm yourself down. That's real freedom. That's real mastery. That's what it means to never lose your cool again. So practice this. Every morning when you wake up, do 5 rounds. Before bed, do 5 rounds. In moments of stress, do 1 round. That's all it takes. You'll feel your pulse change. You'll feel your perspective shift. You'll feel power returning to your hands. Because breath is ownership. And you always have that power. Say it again. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Calm is instant. Calm is mine. That's your mantra. That's your training. That's your key. Remember, calm doesn't mean weak. Calm means controlled. It means unshakable. It means no one can pull you off center without your consent. You don't need their permission to be still. You don't need the world to be peaceful for you to find peace. You create it, one breath at a time. This is not just breathing. This is reclaiming your power from chaos. This is self-mastery at its most physical and most spiritual level. This is what separates the controlled from the consumed. So, when the pressure builds, breathe. When the emotions rise, breathe. When life feels too much, breathe. Because calm isn't out there. Calm is right here, in your lungs, in your hands, in your choice. You've learned to master your body. Now, it's time to master your mind. You've built stillness in motion. Now, you'll build silence in thought. You've calmed your breath. Now let's calm your world. Chapter 4. Rewire your mind for automatic calm. You don't rise to your level of goals. You fall to your level of training. And your mind is no exception. If you haven't trained your mind to stay calm, it won't. If you haven't built calm into your habits, chaos will always win. That's the truth. You can't fake composure. You can't pretend calm. You either built it or you didn't. The good news: calm can be trained, just like strength, just like focus, just like confidence. You can rewire your mind to make calm automatic. Not forced, not faked. Automatic. Because the mind is programmable. Every thought, every reaction, every emotional pattern, it's all just wiring. Neural pathways. And those pathways are built through repetition. Whatever you repeat becomes automatic. That's the key. Right now, your brain has built the react fast pathway. You've trained yourself to snap, to stress, to spiral. You didn't mean to. You just rehearsed it over and over again. And your brain got efficient at it. That's what the brain does. It automates what you repeat. So if you've been repeating panic, your brain made panic easy. If you've been repeating frustration, your brain made frustration fast. That's how neural wiring works. What fires together, wires together. That's the rule. But here's the power. You can rewire it. You can teach your brain a new automatic. Calm. Calm as your default. Calm as your reflex. Calm as your identity. Say it right now. Calm is my default. Reaction is optional. Control is mine. Again. Calm is my default. Reaction is optional. Control is mine. That's not a quote. That's a new command for your nervous system. You're telling your brain what to automate next. Let's break this down. Your reactions happen in the amygdala, the emotional center of your brain. It fires fast. It's ancient. It's primal. It's what tells you fight, flight, or freeze. That's reaction. But there's another part, the prefrontal cortex. That's the part that thinks, reasons, and chooses. That's where your power lives. The problem? Most people live trapped in the amygdala. They never engage the higher mind. They live life on autopilot, ruled by emotion, regret, and impulse. You can't live that way if you want control. You can't let the oldest part of your brain dictate your future. So here's your mission. Train your prefrontal cortex to take the wheel before your amygdala reacts. That's rewiring. That's how you move from emotional to intentional. Here's how you do it. Every day, you practice calm before you need it. You don't wait for the storm. You train in the sunshine. You build calm like muscle memory. Step 1. Visualize your triggers. The traffic jam, the argument, the delay, the disrespect. See it clearly. Feel the tension rise. Then breathe. Say the mantra. Calm is my default. Reaction is optional. Control is mine. Repeat it until your body relaxes. You are teaching your brain. This is how we handle stress now. Step 2. Practice micro pauses. Throughout your day, insert moments of stillness. Before replying to a message, before making a decision, before reacting. Take one breath. Just one. You are building the gap, the space between trigger and reaction. In that space, calm lives. That's where power lives. Step 3. End your day with calm rehearsal. Close your eyes. Replay your day. Where did you react? Where did you stay composed? What could you improve tomorrow? You're not judging. You're programming. You're strengthening the calm circuits. That's the gym. That's mental conditioning. Do this every day, and something incredible happens. Your brain starts doing it without you thinking about it. You'll feel irritation rise, but your breath will slow automatically. You'll feel pressure build, but your body will stay steady. You'll feel someone trying to provoke you, but your mind will stay anchored. That's the sign. That's proof of rewiring. Think of the pilot flying through turbulence. The cabin shakes. Passengers panic. But the pilot doesn't flinch. He's calm, steady, focused. Why? Because he's trained that response 1,000 times. He doesn't think, oh no. He thinks, control what I can, ignore what I can't. That's calm on autopilot. You can do the same thing. But your cockpit is your mind. Your turbulence is daily life. And your training happens in every quiet moment you choose not to react. Repetition builds automation. Automation builds identity. And identity drives destiny. You are not just learning calm, you are becoming calm. You are not pretending composure. You are embodying control. Say it again. Calm is my default. Reaction is optional. Control is mine. This is the new code. This is how you overwrite chaos. Now, let's talk about triggers. They're not random. They're predictable. Your mind already knows what sets you off, so stop being surprised. Start being prepared. List your top 3 triggers. Write them down. Then, next to each one, write your response plan. When this happens, I breathe. When this happens, I pause. When this happens, I choose calm. You're building your blueprint. You're not a victim of triggers anymore. You're the architect of response. When you anticipate triggers, you remove their power. Because surprise is what fuels reaction. Preparation is what fuels composure. You're not avoiding emotion. You're mastering it. You're not suppressing energy. You're directing it. It's not about denial. It's about discipline. It's not about numbing. It's about navigating. That's emotional intelligence in action. Here's the truth. The world won't get calmer. People won't suddenly get kinder. Life won't magically slow down. You have to build the stillness within yourself. You have to be the calm in the chaos. That's leadership. That's mastery. That's strength. Your calm becomes contagious. When you're composed, others feel safe around you. Your energy becomes an anchor. You stop matching chaos. You neutralize it. That's influence. Real influence. You're teaching the world through your stillness. You're teaching your mind through repetition. And both are watching how you breathe, how you act, how you choose. So train daily. Train with intention. Train until calm becomes who you are, not what you try to do. You're not fixing yourself. You're upgrading yourself. You're building a mind that serves you, not sabotages you. You're turning control into a reflex. That's what this chapter is about. Repetition, training, rewiring. Your old programming was reaction. Your new programming is calm. Your old loop was chaos. Your new loop is control. Say it one last time. Calm is my default. Reaction is optional. Control is mine. You've rewired your mind. Now, let's strengthen the silence that keeps it steady. You've learned to stay calm inside your head. Now, learn to stay calm outside your mouth. Chapter 5. The cost of losing control. Every reaction has a price. Every pause earns power. Never forget that. You might think losing your temper is small. You might think it's human. You might think it's no big deal. But it costs you every single time. Control isn't just emotional. It's financial. It's relational. It's professional. Every time you lose control, you lose something real. A relationship, a deal, a reputation, respect. That's the hidden tax of reaction. You pay it every time you let emotion take the wheel. And most people don't even realize the debt they're in. Look around you. The world is filled with people who destroyed everything. Not because they weren't smart, not because they weren't talented, but because they couldn't control themselves. They let emotion drive. And emotion crashed the car. You've seen it. The athlete who threw a punch and lost a career. The CEO who sent one angry email and lost a company. The friend who said one cruel thing and lost a lifetime of trust. They reacted, and they paid. That's the pattern. Lose control, lose what matters. That's the key. Think about this. It takes years to build a reputation. It takes seconds to destroy one. All it takes is one reaction, one public outburst, one emotional slip, one moment of weakness, and the damage spreads faster than you can apologize. People won't remember your apology. They'll remember your explosion. That's reality. In a world that records everything, one emotional mistake can define you forever. Ask yourself, how many people do you know who regret what they said, not what they stayed silent about? It's almost everyone. They regret the text they sent in anger. They regret the post they made in pride. They regret the words they can't take back. Because words spoken in reaction can't be undone. That's why control isn't optional. It's essential. Because in the long run, the calm win every time. Let me tell you a story. A CEO once faced a public crisis. The media attacked. Investors panicked. Employees froze. Everyone looked at him. He felt the anger rise, the fear, the humiliation. But he didn't react. He didn't send the email. He didn't hold the press conference. He waited. He paused. He breathed. He gathered facts. 3 days later, when he finally spoke, he spoke with clarity. He owned the truth. He stayed calm. And because of that calm, his company survived. His competitors mocked him for being too slow. But when their scandals came, they reacted instantly, emotionally. They attacked back. They lied. They panicked. And they lost everything. Every reaction has a price. Every pause earns power. That CEO understood something most people never do. Control is not weakness. Control is strategy. Now, contrast that with another story. A famous actor once exploded on a film set. He screamed at his team. He insulted the crew. Someone filmed it. It went viral. The damage was instant. Endorsements vanished. Studios stopped calling. The world didn't see his years of work. They saw his outburst. One reaction cost him millions. One reaction rewrote his story. That's the cost of losing control. It's not just emotional. It's financial. It's social. It's permanent. You have to understand this. Every time you lose your cool, you lose credibility. And credibility is everything. Control isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about directing it. You don't have to stop feeling angry. You have to stop letting anger decide your behavior. That's the difference between power and destruction. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent. You feel the emotion. You observe it. You act consciously. That's mastery. You have to treat your reactions like currency, because that's what they are. Every reaction spends energy, reputation, and time. And only a fool spends recklessly. The wise invest their energy carefully. They pause before they spend it. Because they know the return comes from patience. That's why your pause is power. The pause is not passive. It's strategic. It's where clarity happens. It's where logic returns. It's where you regain control. Every reaction has a price. Every pause earns power. Let's talk about relationships. How many fights start from misunderstanding? How many end because someone refused to stay calm long enough to listen? Most people don't lose relationships because of big betrayals. They lose them because of little reactions that built up over time. Sarcasm, criticism, anger, death by 1,000 emotional cuts. You don't realize you're bleeding your connection dry until it's gone. And when it's gone, you can't buy it back. Control protects relationships. Control protects trust. Control keeps your words aligned with your values. It's not about being right. It's about staying grounded. You can win the argument and still lose the person. You can be correct and still be alone. That's the cost. Here's the truth. If you can't control yourself, someone else will control you. They'll push your buttons, they'll trigger your emotions, and they'll own your reactions. You think you're showing strength when you lash out, but you're actually showing where you're weak. Because anyone who can make you react controls you. When you lose control, you give your power away. You become predictable, manipulable, defeated. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need their behavior to justify your composure. Your control is yours, not theirs. So stop letting people rent space in your head. Stop giving free access to your peace. You have a choice. You always do. That's the key. Here's what you must do. First, build awareness. Notice when your emotions rise. Catch the tension in your shoulders, the heat in your chest. That's your cue to stop. Don't speak, don't move. Breathe. Second, rehearse calm. Just like athletes practice game day plays, practice your pause. Play the scene in your mind, the argument, the insult, the chaos. Then see yourself staying calm. Repeat until it becomes instinct. Third, reflect. After every emotional moment, ask, what did it cost me? What did it teach me? What will I do differently next time? That's how control becomes wisdom. Every reaction has a price. Every pause earns power. You can't buy calm. You have to earn it. Through practice, through patience, through mastery. And the reward? Freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from emotional chaos. That's what control gives you. It's not about pride. It's about peace. It's not about dominance. It's about direction. The calm don't lose control. They own it. And because they own it, they win in the long run. You have a choice. Keep paying the price of reaction, or start collecting the rewards of control. Because the bill for losing control always comes due, and it's always higher than you think. Every reaction has a price. Every pause earns power. Let that truth live in you. You've learned what losing control costs. Now, it's time to learn what real clarity earns. You've faced the consequences of chaos. Now, let's discover the strength of self-awareness. Chapter 6. The Mirror Method. See yourself clearly. You can't change what you refuse to see. That's the truth most people run from. They want growth without reflection. They want control without awareness. They want peace without confronting the chaos inside. But that's not how mastery works. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't lead what you don't understand. And you can't control your emotions until you learn to see yourself clearly. This is the Mirror Method, a discipline of radical honesty, a process of looking inward without judgment or excuse. Because awareness is the foundation of control. That's the key. When you stand in front of the mirror, you're not just seeing a reflection. You're seeing the truth, not the filtered, edited version of yourself you show the world. The real one. The one who gets triggered. The one who reacts. The one who still carries scars and stories from the past. You want control? Start here. You want peace? Look here. Say it. I see myself clearly. I see my triggers. I respond intentionally. That's your anchor. Repeat it until it becomes truth. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Most people avoid self-reflection because it hurts. They'd rather scroll, blame, or escape than admit they're the problem. But avoidance is weakness. And weakness is what keeps you trapped in cycles of reaction. Every outburst, every regret, every emotional crash, they all start with blindness. Blindness to your triggers, blindness to your habits, blindness to your patterns. You can't manage what you can't name, so start naming. Here's how you do it. Every morning, stand in front of the mirror. Not to check your hair, not to pose, to see. Ask yourself 3 questions. What triggered me yesterday? How did I respond? What could I have done differently? Write it down. Journal it. Study yourself like a scientist studying data, because that's what you're doing. You're collecting evidence. Evidence of how your mind operates. Evidence of what steals your calm. Evidence of what strengthens your control. That's power. Most people think self-reflection is soft. They think it's therapy talk. They're wrong. Self-reflection is combat training for the mind. You're entering the arena of your own thoughts. You're facing the real opponent. Yourself. The undisciplined version of you. The reactive version of you. The emotional version of you who lashes out and then apologizes later. You know that version. You've met them. Maybe you were them this morning. The mirror doesn't lie. It reflects exactly who you are, not who you say you are. Think of elite performers, athletes, soldiers, leaders. They debrief after every mission, every game, every decision. Why? Because feedback is how you improve. And feedback starts with honesty. You need to become your own coach, your own critic, your own accountability partner. You don't need their permission to improve. You don't need their validation to reflect. You just need discipline. When you make mistakes, and you will, don't run. Study them. When you react poorly, don't excuse it. Analyze it. When you lose your temper, don't justify it. Understand it. This is what growth looks like. It's not pretty. It's not easy. But it's real. Here's a simple exercise. Every night, write down 3 emotional moments from your day. Moments you felt triggered, angry, anxious, or defensive. Then for each one, answer, what triggered me? What story did I tell myself in that moment? How could I have responded differently? Do this for 30 days. You'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see the same emotional traps repeat. And once you can see them, you can stop them. That's the secret most people never learn. You can't control what you won't confront. Say it again with me. I see myself clearly. I see my triggers. I respond intentionally. That's not just a mantra. It's a declaration. You're programming your mind to slow down. You're training your nervous system to pause before reacting. You're reminding yourself that you have a choice. Every time you look into the mirror, you're not just looking at a person. You're looking at potential. Potential that's been buried under years of emotional noise. You're looking at the warrior you could become. The truth is, every emotional outburst, every regretful reaction, every bad decision, it's a mirror moment you ignored. It was your mind saying, "Look at this. Learn from this." But you looked away. Now you won't. Now you'll face it head on. Because strength isn't about pretending you're unshakable. It's about knowing where you're weak and strengthening it. That's emotional discipline. That's mental toughness. When you practice the mirror method long enough, something changes. You start catching yourself mid-reaction. You start recognizing your patterns before they take over. You stop fighting others and start managing yourself. You become the calm in every storm. You become the still point when everyone else spins out. That's not ego. That's mastery, and mastery starts with sight. The ability to see yourself before you act. To know yourself before you speak. To lead yourself before you lead others. That's the power of reflection. That's the power of awareness. Remember this. Every reaction has a root. Every habit has a history. Every emotion has a message. Your job is to listen, to observe, to learn. Because emotional control doesn't come from suppression. It comes from understanding. You can't silence the storm until you understand its cause. So, tomorrow morning, when you stand in front of that mirror, look deeper. Ask yourself who's really in control today. The reactive self or the disciplined self. The one driven by emotion or the one guided by awareness. Say it until it's real. I see myself clearly. I see my triggers. I respond intentionally. That's how you build mastery from the inside out. That's how you stop being a victim of your own emotions. That's how you reclaim your calm. You've learned to see yourself clearly. Now, it's time to sharpen that vision into wisdom. Because awareness without action is useless. In the next chapter, we'll turn reflection into decisive movement. Chapter 7. Turn stress into strength. Stress. It's not your enemy. It's your training ground. You've been told to avoid it, to run from it, to manage it. But the truth is simple. You don't need to escape stress. You need to master it. Stress is energy. Energy is power. And when you harness it, it becomes your greatest advantage. That's the key. The strongest people in the world aren't calm because life is easy. They're calm because they've learned how to use stress as fuel. Firefighters running into burning buildings, surgeons holding a life in their hands, leaders making decisions with millions on the line. They don't crumble. They don't panic. They convert pressure into precision because they understand one truth. Stress is energy. Energy is power. I harness it fully. Say that to yourself. Stress is energy. Energy is power. I harness it fully. That's your mental armor. Here's the problem. Most people misinterpret stress. They feel the rush of adrenaline and call it fear. They feel their heart rate rise and call it anxiety. They feel pressure and call it weakness. But in reality, that's your body preparing you to perform. It's your nervous system turning on the lights. It's your biology saying, "We're ready." Stress is not sabotage. It's signal. It's your body giving you energy to rise to the moment. The issue isn't stress itself. It's your reaction to it. You have a choice. You can let stress crush you, or you can train it to carry you. Think about it. A firefighter standing before a burning building isn't calm because there's no danger. They're calm because they've trained their body and mind to interpret danger as purpose. Their stress becomes focus. Their focus becomes action. And their action saves lives. That's not magic. That's conditioning. You can train that same response. Here's the formula. Stress, awareness, control, power. When stress hits, awareness must come first. You pause. You breathe. You notice the surge of energy in your chest, not as panic, but as potential. Say it again. Stress is energy. Energy is power. I harness it fully. Now comes control. You channel that energy into something useful. You focus it. You direct it toward the next right action. That's how you move from chaos to command. That's how you transform stress from enemy to ally. Let's talk about neuroscience for a second. Your brain has two main circuits under stress: the reactive brain and the responsive brain. The reactive brain panics. It sees threat and spirals. It floods your body with cortisol and emotion. The responsive brain pauses. It assesses. It acts with intention. You can train your brain to switch from reaction to response. How? Through repetition. When you deliberately breathe through stress, when you choose calm in chaos, when you act with discipline under pressure, you are rewiring your neural pathways. You're teaching your mind. Stress means focus, not fear. That's how elite soldiers, athletes, and leaders are built. Through stress exposure, through deliberate training, through repetition until calm becomes automatic. You can do the same. Start small. Every time you feel stress, traffic, deadlines, conflict, don't run. Pause. Breathe. Say it quietly. Stress is energy. Energy is power. I harness it fully. Then ask, what's the next useful action? That's it. Don't overthink. Don't spiral. Act with clarity. Channel the surge. Do this 10 times a day, 100 times a week, and you will reprogram your mind. You'll condition your nervous system to see pressure as preparation. You'll feel stress, and instead of tensing, you'll sharpen. That's mastery. Look at the best in any field. Surgeons stay steady while lives depend on them. Pilots land planes in storms. Athletes thrive under lights, noise, and millions watching. They don't eliminate stress. They convert it. They breathe deeper when it gets harder. They narrow their focus when chaos expands. They slow down when everyone else speeds up, because they've learned to translate pressure into power. You can too. But you have to stop labeling stress as the enemy. It's not about avoidance. It's about adaptation. It's not about panic. It's about poise. It's not about fear. It's about focus. That's the key. Every time you choose to face stress consciously, you grow. Every time you meet pressure with calm, you build muscle. Every time you turn discomfort into direction, you evolve. This is how resilience is built, not by running from difficulty, but by leaning into it with control. You want confidence? Earn it through exposure. You want courage? Build it through challenge. You want mastery? Train it under tension. Because strength isn't built in peace. It's built in pressure. You can't avoid stress. Life won't let you. But you can use it. You can shape it. You can control how it moves through you. Stress will visit everyone, but only the disciplined will turn it into strength. So the next time your heart races, your palms sweat, your mind spins, don't resist it. Welcome it. Say it again, out loud. Stress is energy. Energy is power. I harness it fully. That's not denial. That's dominance. You have to remember this truth. The calmest people in the room are not those who never feel stress. They're the ones who've made stress their ally. They've conditioned themselves to see every surge as an opportunity to act with precision. They don't need comfort. They don't need everything to go their way. They just need control. Because control is where power begins. You have that same power. It's built, not given. And stress is the forge where it's made. So when life tests you, and it will, don't say, I can't handle this. Say, this is my training. Don't say, this is too much. Say, this is making me stronger. Because every stressful moment is a chance to prove to yourself that you're capable, that you're composed, that you're in command. Stress isn't your downfall. It's your evolution. Remember, stress is energy. Energy is power. I harness it fully. You've learned to harness stress. You've learned to convert chaos into composure. Now, let's take that power one step deeper, into silence. Because real strength isn't loud. It's quiet. It's grounded. It's unshakable. You've built control in pressure. Now, it's time to master control in peace, silence. It's not weakness. It's not surrender. It's strategy. Most people confuse silence with submission. They think if you don't shout, you don't care. If you don't react, you're afraid. But the truth, silence is strength under control. You want power. Learn to be silent when everyone else is loud. That's the key. In a noisy world, the quiet person stands out. In a room full of chaos, the calm mind wins. Because silence disarms, it unsettles, it commands. People expect reaction. They want you to respond fast, to defend, to explode. But when you stay quiet, you take away their control. They lose power. You gain it. You have a choice. You can let anger drive your actions, or you can let silence define your authority. Think of the greatest leaders in history. Generals who faced armies, CEOs who led billion-dollar empires, politicians who held nations together through crisis. They understood the art of controlled silence. When everyone demanded an answer, they paused. When tempers flared, they stayed still. When chaos erupted, they observed. They didn't speak first. They spoke last. And when they did, the world listened. Why? Because silence builds tension. Tension builds focus, and focus builds influence. That's the quiet power of discipline. Let's talk about anger. Anger is natural. You'll feel it. You're human. But anger expressed too soon is weakness disguised as strength. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. The person who reacts in rage has already lost the battle for control. Because when anger leads, logic leaves. That's the difference between a leader and a follower. The follower reacts. The leader waits. You don't need to shout to prove you're strong. You prove it by staying calm when others lose control. That's the kind of discipline that commands respect. That's the kind of power that lasts. There's a famous story about a CEO during a boardroom crisis. A competitor leaked damaging information about his company. His executives panicked. Everyone started talking at once. They wanted an instant reaction. But the CEO said nothing. He sat there, calm, still, listening. 10 seconds of silence. Then 20. Then a full minute. The room went quiet. Every eye turned to him. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady. He said, "We'll act when emotion leaves and clarity returns." That's mastery. That's what silence sounds like when it's backed by control. Within days, the crisis turned. The company regained trust, not because of what he said, but because of how he waited. That's the difference between emotional reaction and emotional control. Silence is not the absence of communication. It's a deeper form of it. It speaks in patience. It speaks in observation. It speaks in strength. People remember the one who didn't react. They wonder what you're thinking. They project their own fears and insecurities onto your calmness. They lose balance while you keep composure. That's how you gain psychological dominance. It's not about noise. It's about nuance. It's not about reaction. It's about restraint. It's not about being heard. It's about being respected. Say it with me. Silence is my weapon. Patience is my power. I act with precision. In relationships, silence saves connection. Instead of matching emotion with emotion, you choose control. When someone attacks, stay still. When they raise their voice, lower yours. When they push, pause. That pause rewrites the story. It creates space for clarity. It transforms conflict into conversation. Because silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough to stay conscious. You have a choice every time anger knocks. Open the door or let it pass. That's the discipline of silence. Let's look at military strategy. The best generals know. Silence before action multiplies impact. They move without warning. They strike with precision, not noise. The same rule applies in life. When you act without emotional leakage, you keep the element of surprise. You don't show your cards. You don't reveal your intent. You observe, plan, and execute quietly. That's power. The silent warrior wins because they see everything and reveal nothing. They don't react to every provocation. They respond only when necessary. And when they do, the effect is decisive. Now let's make this practical. Here's how to use silence as your weapon. Step 1. Breathe before you speak. The moment you feel anger rise, stop. Count to 5. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. That gap, those few seconds, give you back control. Step 2. Observe before you act. Ask yourself, what outcome do I actually want? If speaking right now doesn't serve that outcome, stay silent. That's how silence becomes tactical, not passive. Step 3. Speak less, mean more. When you do talk, make it count. Use fewer words, more weight. People will listen, not because you're loud, but because you're rare. That's how silence builds authority. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to prove your strength with noise. Because the one who controls their voice controls the room. The one who controls their emotions controls the outcome. It's not about anger. It's about awareness. It's not about ego. It's about execution. It's not about being seen. It's about being effective. And effectiveness requires restraint. Restraint requires silence. That's the key. Here's what you must remember. Silence is not inaction. It's intentional control. It's strategic composure. Every time you choose silence over anger, you reclaim your power. Every time you pause before reacting, you raise your influence. Every time you let patience lead, you multiply your strength. That's transformation. That's emotional mastery in motion. So when the world provokes you, remember this mantra. Silence is my weapon. Patience is my power. I act with precision. Say it again. Feel it. Live it. Because silence is not emptiness. It's dominance contained. You've learned to use silence as your shield. Now, it's time to learn how to turn that composure into motion. Because discipline doesn't just stay still. It directs itself forward. You've mastered control through calm. Now, let's talk about momentum through focus. Chapter 9. The Daily Discipline of Mental Mastery. Mental mastery isn't built in a single moment of inspiration. It's built in the quiet repetitions you perform every single day. Every morning, every night, every time you're tested. That's the truth most people don't want to face. They want emotional control without daily control. They want focus without practice. They want strength without struggle. But that's not how this works. You don't master your mind once. You master it daily, every day you show up. Every day you train, every day you reinforce the foundation. That's the key. Daily practice, daily control, daily strength. Unshakable, every day. The myth of spontaneous strength. People love to imagine that mental mastery just happens. They think someone woke up one day calm, focused, and fearless. They see a monk meditating, a soldier under fire, or a surgeon in the middle of chaos, and they assume it's natural. It's not. It's trained. It's repeated. It's earned. The soldier who stays calm under gunfire trained his breath under stress. The surgeon who performs under pressure practiced precision under fatigue. The leader who speaks with composure faced his fears long before the spotlight found him. They all trained their emotions before the test. That's the difference. They didn't wait for crisis to find calm. They built it daily. You have to do the same. You have to train your mind before it's tested. Because when the pressure hits, it's too late to start. The 3 daily disciplines. Mental mastery is not complicated. It's consistent. You don't need fancy rituals. You need simple, repeatable habits. There are 3 that build the core: meditation, reflection, and controlled exposure. 1. Meditation, the art of quiet strength. Meditation is not about emptying your mind. It's about mastering your focus. You sit still. You breathe. You observe. You don't react. You watch. That's the training ground for your emotions. When you can sit in silence and observe your thoughts without acting on them, you gain control. You stop being a slave to impulse. You become the master of response. Start with 5 minutes, then 10, then 20. Set a timer. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. When your thoughts drift, bring them back. That's the repetition. That's the discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about return. Every time you return to focus, you build strength. Daily practice, daily control, daily strength. Unshakable every day. 2. Reflection, the mirror of awareness. Every evening you reflect. You write. You review. You audit yourself. Ask, where did I lose control today? When did I act emotionally instead of intentionally? What can I do better tomorrow? That's your mental mirror. It's not punishment. It's progress. You can't fix what you refuse to face. And you can't grow from what you won't name. Write it down. Keep a journal, not a diary of drama, a record of discipline. You'll start to see patterns. You'll notice triggers. You'll realize you react to the same tones, the same words, the same people. That's awareness. That's control. When you can see your patterns, you can break them. When you can predict your reactions, you can prevent them. That's the key. Awareness first, mastery next. 3. Controlled exposure. Train in the fire. Avoiding stress doesn't make you strong. Facing it strategically does. You want to be calm under pressure, then put yourself in pressure on purpose. Expose yourself to controlled stress. Take a cold shower. Speak publicly. Start a conversation that scares you. Try something you're not good at. Why? Because every time you choose discomfort, you train your nervous system to stay steady. You teach your body to stay calm in chaos. You condition your mind to respond, not panic. That's what mental warriors do. They train in discomfort so they can dominate under pressure. You have a choice. Hide from challenge or harness it. Avoid stress or turn it into strength. Daily practice, daily control, daily strength. Unshakable every day. The cost of neglect. Let's be honest. Most people don't fail from lack of talent. They fail from lack of discipline. They don't lose control because of what happens to them. They lose control because they never trained for it. They wake up late. They react to the world. They complain. They never take time to sit, breathe, reflect, or strengthen their mind. Then they wonder why they explode under pressure. Mental chaos is not random. It's the result of neglect. You can't expect calm when you feed your mind noise. You can't expect focus when your habits scream distraction. You can't expect control when your daily life trains chaos. You become what you repeat. If you repeat reactivity, you'll live reactive. If you repeat reflection, you'll live aware. If you repeat focus, you'll live strong. That's the law of daily mastery. Building the routine. Here's the simple structure you can follow starting today. Morning. Sit in silence for 10 minutes. Breathe. Focus on one word. Control. Visualize your day and choose your emotional tone before it begins. During the day. When stress hits, pause. Take one deep breath before you respond. Ask yourself, what's the most controlled move I can make right now? Evening journal for 10 minutes. List your wins, your losses, and your lessons. Identify one emotional trigger you'll handle differently tomorrow. That's it. 3 daily practices. No excuses, no noise. Just discipline. Do this for 30 days straight. You'll notice you react slower, you think clearer, you move with purpose. You'll realize calm is not something you have, it's something you build. That's how mastery begins. Not with fireworks, not with breakthroughs, but with quiet, relentless repetition. Daily practice, daily control, daily strength. Unshakable, every day. The real secret. Mental mastery isn't about being emotionless. It's about being intentional. You still feel everything: anger, fear, anxiety. But you choose what to do with it. You have a choice every second. React or respond. Explode or evaluate. Retreat or rise. That's the daily discipline. That's what separates the masters from the masses. You don't need their permission to be calm. You don't need perfect circumstances. You just need repetition. Do it again, and again, and again, until it's who you are. You've built the foundation of daily control. You've learned to master your emotions before they master you. But there's one more layer of strength that transforms discipline into dominance. You mastered your inner voice. Now it's time to master your energy. Because energy, not time, is your real currency. Chapter 10. Never give your power away again. You've come a long way. You've faced your triggers. You've confronted your emotions. You've learned to turn chaos into control. Now, it's time to make one final commitment. Never give your power away again. Because that's what emotional mastery is about. Power. The power to choose your response. The power to direct your energy. The power to decide who you become, no matter what happens around you. You've been trained since childhood to hand that power over. To other people. To emotions. To circumstances. But not anymore. That stops here. That stops now. You have a choice. Every second, every day. You can give your power away, or you can keep it. You can let others dictate your state, or you can own it. That's the key. That's the freedom. Emotional sovereignty is not a one-time achievement. It's a lifelong discipline. It's the way you live. It's the way you lead. It's the way you protect your peace in a world that profits from your chaos. Power is not noise, it's control. Real power doesn't scream, it doesn't panic, it doesn't chase validation. Real power stands still, it observes, it decides, it acts with precision. You don't need to argue to prove control. You don't need to react to prove strength. You don't need to shout to prove authority. Power is quiet. Power is focused. Power is consistent. When you're calm, they can't control you. When you're steady, they can't manipulate you. When you're grounded, you become untouchable. That's why the world constantly tries to provoke you. Because if you react, they own you. If you stay calm, you own yourself. I am in control. I am steady. I am unshakable. Always. How you give it away. Let's make this real. Every day, you face 1,000 traps designed to steal your power. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone disrespects you at work. Someone ignores your message. Someone doubts your worth. And just like that, your peace is gone. Why? Because you gave them your power. You handed it over in anger, frustration, insecurity. You allowed someone else's behavior to dictate your emotions. That's what most people do. They trade control for reaction. They trade strength for validation. They trade peace for the illusion of winning. But you don't need to play that game. You can walk away and still win. You can stay silent and still lead. You can remain calm and still dominate. You have a choice. You always do. The new reflex. Pause. Don't react. Here's the new discipline. Pause. When you feel anger rise, pause. When someone tests you, pause. When fear whispers, pause. That one breath, that single second, is your weapon. That pause separates the reactive from the powerful. That pause gives you space to decide, not obey emotion. It's not about being passive. It's about being precise. You don't fight everything that moves. You fight only what matters. You don't react to every noise. You respond only to truth. That's the difference between control and chaos. That's the difference between weakness and wisdom. Remember this: anyone can explode. Few can remain still. And stillness is strength. I am in control. I am steady. I am unshakable. Always. The 3 arenas of power. Let's look at where this control transforms your life. Personally, professionally, and societally. 1. Personal power. You stop arguing to be understood. You start speaking to be effective. You stop chasing attention. You start commanding respect. When you master your emotions, you stop bleeding energy. You stop overthinking every comment. You stop living on other people's timelines. You realize peace is not something you find, it's something you protect. You realize self-control is self-respect. You realize every reaction is a transaction and you don't owe anyone that much. That's personal sovereignty. 2. Professional power. In your work, calm is currency. While others rush, you breathe. While others panic, you plan. While others gossip, you act. That's how leaders rise. That's how top performers separate themselves. A surgeon doesn't panic mid-operation. A firefighter doesn't flinch in heat. A CEO doesn't crumble under pressure. They stay steady because they've trained for chaos. They lead because others need their composure. That's your role too. You are the calm in the storm, the still point in the noise, the anchor others trust. That's professional sovereignty. Third, societal power. The world runs on outrage. It feeds on reaction. Social media, politics, culture. They all compete for your emotional attention. Every click, every comment, every argument, it all drains your mental battery. The more you react, the less you think. The more you rage, the less you lead. The more you give in to noise, the less you hear your own voice. Stop feeding systems that depend on your chaos. Start building a life that thrives on your calm. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to fix every opinion. You just have to master your space. That's societal sovereignty. Power is a habit. Here's what people forget. Control is not a feeling. It's a habit. You build it the same way you build muscle. Through repetition, through practice, through discomfort. You train every day. When you breathe through frustration, when you walk away from drama, when you respond with intention instead of impulse. That's how emotional strength compounds. That's how you become unshakable. You don't master control in theory. You master it in conflict. You master it in the moments when it would be easier to lose it. Every time you stay calm, you win. Every time you pause, you grow. Every time you choose stillness, you claim back your power. That's the practice. That's the discipline. I am in control. I am steady. I am unshakable. Always. The power contract. Make a new deal with yourself right now. You will no longer give away your emotional energy to things you cannot control. You will no longer hand your power to people who haven't earned your respect. You will no longer let the noise of the world drown your own voice. You are the gatekeeper of your energy. You are the architect of your state. You are the master of your mind. This is your power contract. No more impulsive reactions. No more emotional giveaways. No more self-sabotage through noise. You will pause. You will breathe. You will choose. Every moment, every day, every challenge. That's how you never give your power away again. You've reached the end of this journey, but the real work starts now. Because mastery isn't a moment. It's a lifestyle. It's not what you do once. It's who you become always. You've learned how to see yourself clearly, how to turn stress into strength, how to use silence as power, how to practice discipline daily, and how to protect your energy like your life depends on it. Now you must live it, because in a world addicted to noise, the most powerful person is the one who stays calm. In a world obsessed with reaction, the most dangerous person is the one who chooses control. You have that power. You've always had it. Now, you'll never give it away again. Say it with me, dash, dash. I am in control. I am steady. I am unshakable. Always. That's the mindset. That's the mission. That's emotional sovereignty. You've mastered your emotions. Now go master your life. You now hold the knowledge that most people never get. You know the triggers, the habits, the pauses, the power of deliberate breath, and the strategies to rewire your mind. You understand the cost of losing control and the unstoppable advantage of remaining calm. Every day, every challenge, every provocation is now a choice, and you are the chooser. The world may try to push you over the edge, but you will not fall. You will respond, not react. You will act, not explode. And from this moment on, you have a single mission. Never give your power away again. Use these methods. Practice these techniques. Live this way every single day. The question now is simple. Will you finally step into unshakable control, or will you let another moment slip through your fingers? The choice is yours. Decide, act, dominate.